Hi guys, welcome to DroidCon SF Branch Metrics Codelab. I'll be showing you guys, or teaching you guys a little bit about Branch today, a little bit about the history of deep linking on Android, just walking you through the evolution of it, showing you sort of Branch's involvement throughout the process. And then at the end, we can do a little Codelab together where I'll show you guys, obviously in Android Studio, no more Eclipse, I don't have to say that anymore, it's been a few years. I'll show you guys in Android Studio how to integrate the Branch SDK into a Hello World application, or you can integrate it into an application you already have if you would prefer. If so, the directions for integrating today are at this link, branch.app.link/DroidConSF. I wanted to give you guys this URL in the beginning so that you could have the instructions emailed to yourself and you could sort of go over them while I'm giving you an overview of the history of deep linking, because it's probably more interesting to integrate our product into an app than it is to just learn about the history of deep linking, if I had to guess. It's like doing problems in math class versus just reading the book. You know, it's like, do you really learn anything from that book? Maybe a little bit. All right, instant apps and contextual deep linking. So how many of you guys are familiar with deep links or deep linking? A good amount. And contextual deep links, any of those? A little bit, somewhat? All right, cool. You'll learn a little bit. My name's Evan. I've been working at Branch since about 2015. I started building apps actually at around 2011, but yeah, not professionally until 2013. And I got my start in computer science as a kid through my Counter-Strike obsession. I ran a hacking website called CS Hacked. So if you guys ever use any of those programs, I always say you're welcome. Or if you've ever gotten shot in the head repeatedly in Counter-Strike through walls, I'm sorry. That person was probably using my program. So yeah, recently Branch acquired myself from a smaller company, and I first started as their Android evangelist, so I was just going to these events, and then I transitioned into project engineering, which is way more fun. A little bit about Branch. We're based out in Palo Alto. We're about 3 years in business. Our recent round, we raised $60 million from Andy Rubin, who's the co-founder of Android. So in a very meta sense, my colleague Sojin and I, we get to be paid by the guy who created Android to create Android stuff. So that's something I like to brag about. It says 130 plus full-time employees. I think we're up to maybe 150-ish now across the world. I don't know. We're in over 20,000 apps, and we serve billions of deep links a month. You guys basically already know what Branch and what deep linking is. Branch offers a special sort of branded form of deep linking, so you don't get like a bit.ly link for your deep links. For Zappos, for example, get zappos.app.link. So you've probably clicked hundreds of Branch links already. Maybe, I don't know how many links you guys click, but you've clicked our links before without even realizing it because of how much customization we offer companies. We also give you attribution, so as users enter your application through a Branch link, we can give you a breakdown of where they came from. So if your company is paying for a campaign on Instagram and Facebook, we can actually show you side by side how many installs each campaign drove and what operating system those people were on. So you can see like, oh wow, I paid for this campaign on Facebook and it was half the price as my Instagram campaign, but half as effective as well. So maybe it wasn't worth it, or maybe it was. But either way, we give you a granular understanding in your Branch dashboard of how people are entering your application versus the Play Store, which tells you that like you got 4 more installs from Russia today. We try to give you more information than that, especially with the Russians. At this point, when I first joined the company, it was a small team of like 20-some people. We're now pretty successful. We're in over 40% of the top 200 apps. You guys are clicking our links left and right. So the problem deep linking solves is it's just that it's sort of hard to get from the web to an application. And it's certainly hard to make sense of how the user got there. Deep links are everywhere these days. You guys are getting them in your Google search results. You're getting them in email campaigns. You're getting them on graphics you're clicking on Facebook. They're just sort of all over the place. The difference between a deep link and a regular link is we found that when people click a regular link that takes them to your application, they're not nearly as likely to convert into a user when they see just a general please register here and to use our application page. People are much more likely to actually sign up with your application when they're met with custom content. So custom onboarding, like, oh, hey, your friend Evan referred you, click here to sign up. Or when you take someone from web to app, in the Zappos example, and they're looking at a pair of shoes on your website, and they click Get the app, and it takes them to download the app, and then the app opens up to that same pair of shoes. That user, because they were taken to the content they were expecting to see the first time, is twice as likely to actually sign up with your application, and twice as likely to engage with it, and about twice as likely to come back and use it again. So over the years, there have been different deep linking standards on Android. This is just how deep links work. I'll get to the standard in a second. The way deep links work currently is if you have an application installed and you click a deep link for it, instead of going to Chrome, an application launches on your phone and you see a specific piece of content. And then on the web, Branch has another use case for handling deep links. So we say that our deep links are cross-platform, so your Android users can send deep links to your iOS users. We also support desktop. So if your links end up on Facebook and people start clicking them there, they'll be taken to a Text Me the app page, and they'll actually be able to enter in their phone number and be texted a branch link, and then they can download your application, and the deep link content is carried through the install process. And all of the texting services we offer are also free, but don't tell anyone that. URI schemes were the first thing that Android utilized to do deep linking. It's been available since 1.0. It was used by non-Chrome browsers. And I don't know if you guys remembered back in the day, you could just type like FB for Facebook : / in your Chrome browser, and that would manually launch Facebook. If anyone was doing deep linking 3 years ago, that's how it used to work. And still works to some extent. There are Chrome intents, something Chrome uses. Original deep links, when you tried to do the FB : / and the application wasn't installed, there'd be no fallback mechanism. So eventually, Chrome added a fallback mechanism where if you did not have the application installed and you clicked a deep link. Is anyone here familiar with Apple's universal links by any chance? A little bit? Yeah, there's no reason to be. Apple came out with universal links, which was a way to deep link easily into iOS apps, and then Google's kind of copied that and came out with Android app links. The cool thing about branch links, I probably get to this eventually, is that branch links on iOS function as universal links, and on Android they function as app links. So we sort of sit on top of all of these other technologies to give you the best of everything in one composite experience. And Android app links, they go directly to the app. So the way that deep links used to work in the beginning of Android is you'd click a deep link, and then Chrome would open up, and then Chrome would redirect you into an application, or it would fall back if it failed. Android app links are OS-level redirects. No browser opens up. Someone just taps a link that you texted them, and then Tinder opens up immediately and shows them a profile. Tinder totally uses this. This Android app links requires Android 6.0. It's not cross-platform. And as I said, it mimics the functionality of Apple's universal links. And this is the logic of it, is if the app's installed, it can open it, otherwise open a web link. There are some difficulties because you have to support URI scheme deep linking and app links if you were to build your own solution. It eventually becomes a juggling act, as all of these platforms your users are going to be sharing links to and clicking links from, and they all handle routing differently. So people ask us, like, why don't I just build deep linking in-house? It's not that much work. And maybe initially you build a solution and it seems to work and it's going all right, and then suddenly your campaigns all drop off because like the native version of Twitter on iOS suddenly opens links in an internal browser instead of an external one. So part of what we do at Branch is basically just upkeep. It's a juggling act of us making sure that our redirects are working correctly from all of these different outlets and platforms and mediums so that you guys don't have to. You can just drop our SDK and generate your deep links and have a wonderful day. Deep linking on iOS, I did not write this slide because I don't know anything about iOS, but I've been told that it's more complicated. It involves universal links. The good thing about Branch is that we handle all of your Android app link and your iOS universal link configurations for you automatically. And is anyone here familiar with Google's recent release of Instant Apps? Yeah, a little bit. Has anyone tried building an Instant App by any chance? Yeah, we got one. This guy knows everything. It's I should not say it's a nightmare. It's on the bleeding edge. So Instant App stuff is new, and we have a cool integration with Instant Apps. So What we found when routing people to content within applications is that if someone clicks a link for an app they don't have and you just take them directly to the Play Store or the App Store, they oftentimes don't know what's going on. Like the average user doesn't know that they click some sophisticated link that's going to have them download the app and route data through it. So this was a UX issue. We found that the drop-off rate was something insane, like 90% when someone was routed to a store without seeing an interstitial. So because of this UX issue, before Google's Instant Apps, Branch had something called a deep view, which is still available today. If someone clicks a link for your application and you have deep views enabled in your Branch dashboard, your user will first be taken to a website, an automatically generated website. We host all of the content for you, and they'll be shown a preview of the content they're going to see if they install your application. So in the Zappos example, if I click a link for a pair of shoes, it would take me to this website, show me a pair of shoes, and then at the bottom say, get the app now. And then users would say, oh, OK, I'm being routed to get the application, and it's just showing me what I'm going to see in the application. And we found once introducing deep views that 90% drop-off rate went down to something like 40 or some other number I'm going to make up on the spot. It got much lower. It improved a lot. And this was before Instant Apps. There was sort of no other technology for us to exploit in order to show people what they were getting themselves into when they clicked a Branch link. So shortly thereafter, maybe a few years, I don't know the time frame exactly, Google came out with Instant Apps, which allows you to load an application almost instantaneously on someone's device. So how many of you guys are Redditors, Reddit users? Yes to all my questions. So if you guys click a GIF, how long do you wait for it to load if it doesn't load? Like on average, any piece of content before giving up?
2 seconds.
Right. And that's the world we live in today, which is why it's so important to have instant apps. They load within milliseconds. And what we found from our studies is that if anything takes longer than 3 seconds to load these days, people just give up on it. So when it comes to deep link routing, whatever you're doing needs to be very efficient. This is Jeff from Ticketmaster, if you guys would like to read a quote of his. Now, he says in the quote that you definitely don't need a specific separate team. That's still debatable. But it's worth getting into if you love Android, and if you're at this convention, I assume you do. The evolution of Instant Apps. So with Instant Apps, you can show users a fraction of your application before they have to install the entire thing. This is useful for many reasons, and it's also sort of what we're considering our evolution of the deep view. You no longer have to take users to a website. You can now load a fragment of your application onto their phone, and they can see a piece of content. This is really useful, again, for companies like Zappos who want to advertise content, like e-commerce companies that want to show you what you're going to buy. For example, with Ticketmaster's integration, you can actually buy tickets from Ticketmaster without ever installing their application through their Instant App. So it's a really cool technology that deep linking sort of needs to leverage. There's reduced friction. You click a link once and you're taken to the instant application. You're offered immediate native functionality, so it's not like a website. You're given more control of the device. There are permissions. There's information that you can access, and there's a lot of stuff that you can do. You can sort of entice your base. So if there is like a promo that Zappos is running, they want everyone to see the same pair of shoes, maybe to boost sales on that one specific item, they can do that. Another cool thing about instant apps and the benefit of them is that you can sort of, as I say, subvert the rightfully paranoid Android owner. I hate installing apps as an app developer because I know what they're capable of. I prefer instant apps these days, which is great. Hopefully they'll become more prevalent. What you can do with Branch is you can actually track conversion from link click to instant app to full app. We give you more of a view of the funnel now that we've integrated into instant apps. We allow you to pass context from your instant app to your full app. So on your instant e-commerce app, if someone's looking at that specific pair of shoes or whatever they were looking at, once they're taken to the full app, that same piece of content will be displayed. So in the same way that we've always have let you take in users from web to app, you can now go from web to instant app to full app. And the user can be met with the same experience through the entire thing, the same content. What's cool about deep views is that because instant apps are really only functioning correctly on Android 8.0 right now, which is debatable, but my research has shown me that it only works on 8. If you're on older versions of Android using Branch, you can route people to a deep view. So you can still give them that preview of the content that you want them to see before downloading your app so that they don't drop off. Just to give a little information on it, we use probabilistic matching. So when someone clicks a Branch link to enter an instant app, we gather metrics about their device and fingerprint them. That's correct, Sergeant? Yeah. We then have this cool function within the Branch SDK called show install prompt, which calls Google's function show install prompt, which allows you to pass install data from your instant app to your full app. So that's sort of how the context is carried through. And as I was saying, the show install prompt is the function that's called. And it's just a string that gets passed from your instant app to your full app. And just to show you guys an example of the flow. So first, you click a link on Slack for this app, Branch Monster Factory, which you can find in our GitHub repo. It shows you a monster, DroidCon 2017. I click Install Full App. I'm taken to install the app, and then it opens up to the same DroidCon 2017 monster. So that's just one example of passing through a key value pair so that the final application here knew what to render from a link click that eventually generated this view. And this was Ticketmaster's original integration with Branch. You could tap a link from SMS. It would take you to the instant app. You just selected Buy Now, and that was it. Google has built SDKs to do payment processing in full apps very quickly, easily, and efficiently. So if you're an e-commerce app, it's a no-brainer at this point to have deep linking and e-commerce stuff, deep linking into your instant app setup. So the examples I gave, Ticketmaster is one, Vimeo is another one. I don't know if anyone's clicked any Vimeo links lately and they were taken to an instant app native player, but Vimeo's been using us for instant app deep linking. And another example is Branch Monster Factory, our app on the Google Play Store and our GitHub repo where you can see the source code. And in addition to that, it could be your app next. Some things that I learned when building instant apps. App version, and this is actually something I've told maybe 5 or 6 speakers at this point at different events to check. The Play Store will return seemingly random versions of your instant app when you're testing it. So if you upload version 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in one day, and then the next day you run a test, one device is going to pull version 2, another device will pull version 4, another one 5, another one 3, another one 1. So in your settings in your Android device, whenever uploading a new version of your instant app to the Play Store, just toggle instant app on or off and then back on, and your device will pull the latest version from the Play Store. I just saved you weeks. Another one is there's a warning that will pop up when uploading your instant app to the Play Store that'll say ensure that the targeting of your instant app APK matches the targeting of your APKs. If you have anything as simple as setting an activity to portrait mode in your full app, then in your instant app you have to declare uses feature portrait. So if you're monitoring Wi-Fi like network state, then your instant app needs to declare that it uses feature hardware Wi-Fi. Required false. So there's a lot of gotchas there. I recommend Stack Overflow or just reaching out to people who have built instant apps because a lot of this stuff is not documented yet. Instant app routing, we've experienced some differences between 7 and 8. We're still working with Google on ironing that out, as are the other speakers I've talked to. And the next bug discoverer could be you. And I mentioned earlier, you guys are familiar with permissions in Android. Permissions in instant apps are just a little bit limited, because they don't want you to build out an entire app. Another limitation is just that the size of your instant app can only be a few megabytes. But these are the permissions you're limited to. And I mean, you can still, with billing and location access, I mean, what can't you do? And now that concludes my talking to you guys. And then the next part of this will just be me going through an integration and showing you guys live how to drop Branch to a Hello World app. Oh, yeah, thanks.